Now that Dynamax Raids have officially been released in Pokémon GO, some of you might be wondering, well, what should you actually power up for these max battles? Well, the answer might actually surprise you, but you shouldn't power up anything. Yet. So right now we've gotten the equivalent of 1-star raids and max battles, and with the free Dynamax Pokemon given from the special research quest to the max, you can just beat these raid bosses without much effort. These Dynamax Pokemon are given to you at level 15 because they are going to be from research, and the Dynamax Pokemon you're going to catch from raids are going to be at level 20. Now currently, there's no other way to get Dynamax Pokemon in the game besides these two ways. Actually, I take that back. Once you get 1,000 max particles for the first time, you're going to get a free Wooloo encounter, but outside of that, there's no other ways. And the only way to do Dynamax raids is with Dynamax Pokemon. So what exactly is your best strategy moving forward? Well, from the current raid pool over the next month, we're going to have access to the Kanto starters, Wooloo, and Skwovet. We're also going to have Beldum featured during the Psychic Spectacular event, which will be coming up on September 18th. Now once again, all of these Pokemon can be soloed quite easily, so no matter which Dynamax Pokemon you do end up getting your hands on, you're going to be able to use it against the others. Keeping that in mind though, the ones that you should really be focusing on will be the starters, Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, and also Beldum when that Pokemon is released during the Psychic Spectacular. These Pokemon can be used outside of Dynamax battles and pretty much every other piece of content, including Mega Evolutions. Now this is frustrating in a way because for the Pokemon that we've already built, we basically have to hunt down really good IVs and do it all over again. So I can understand the frustration behind all of this, but I also wouldn't worry about it too much. Now the reason that I wouldn't actually worry about this though is because you currently don't even need to power them up at all. You can just keep them at level 20, which is a level that you get them at from raids. What I would actually do though is evolve them to their final stage evolution. So Bulbasaur all the way to Venusaur, Charmander all the way to Charizard, and then Squirtle all the way to Blastoise, and then eventually once we get Beldum all the way to Metagross. So even though you don't need their legacy movesets right now, all these Pokemon will benefit from a Calm Day exclusive moveset. For Venusaur that's going to be Frenzy Plant, for Charizard that's going to be Blast Burn, for Blastoise that's going to be Hydro Cannon, and for Metagross that is going to be Meteor Mash. So basically what I would recommend doing is I would hold on to your best IV ones for special events where we can actually evolve these Pokemon to get them with their exclusive movesets for free. If you don't end up doing this, the only other way to actually get them with their exclusive movesets is going to be using Elite TMs, which I wouldn't really recommend for these Dynamax Pokemon. Keep in mind that you can only have 3 Dynamax Pokemon in your raid team for max battle, so there's really no reason to evolve more than one of these typically. Type advantages and type resistances are both going to play a critical role in terms of how fast you take down the raid boss, as well as how long your Pokemon stays in battle. So it's really important that you guys are using the correct Pokemon if you want to get these raids done quicker and avoid fainting out. Now with that being said, there is no real benefit for speed in these raids unlike normal raids, where you would typically get more Premier Balls. In this situation, you just get 10 Premier Balls for just beating the Dynamax Pokemon and that's it. It's difficult to say if this is actually going to stay this way or if we're going to kind of see more incorporation of typical raid battles with the, friendship bonus, the speed bonus, and some of the other factors in there. Given the ability to double your rewards for 200 coins, I don't think we're going to see anything different because this implementation is basically to encourage players to spend money on something that they really don't need most of the time, at least not currently, right? When it comes down to Gigantamax battles, those Pokemon are probably going to be really difficult to catch. And that's probably where this incentive for the doubling rewards comes from. Like, they want you to buy that, but I mean, seriously, the value is just terrible. Spending 200 coins is the equivalent of like 1 Pokemon storage or 1 Pokemon bag upgrade. When it comes down to free-to-play players, that would take you 4 days to collect those gem coins. So using all of them just to get 10 more Premier Balls and doubling your rewards from basically 1 rare candy to 2 rare candy does not seem worth it. Next up, let's talk about the best movesets you want to have on your Pokemon. So you do want to take advantage of Stab, which stands for Same Type Attack Bonus. This basically means using moves that are the same typing as your Pokemon. For the initial max battles you're going to be going through, you're most likely going to be using Wooloo or Skwovet to start things off. I wouldn't really focus on having like the optimal movesets for these Pokemon because you're going to unlock the starters fairly quick, and then from there we can start talking about the movesets you want to actually focus on. Especially if you guys don't have that many TMs available, you don't really want to be using them on a Wooloo. So with that said, let's talk about Venusaur first. So ideally you want to have Vine Whip plus Solar Beam. I'm going to go over the secondary charge move unlocks as well. These are totally optional. For the starter Pokemon, they're going to be really cheap, so it's only going to cost you 10,000 Stardust and 25 candy. For Venusaur, I would recommend having Sludge Bomb as that secondary charge move. Now in terms of the Calm Day exclusive moveset, that is going to be Frenzy Plant on Venusaur. Once again, you don't need to have Frenzy Plant for your Dynamax Venusaur. It is completely fine running Vine Whip plus Solar Beam. Now for Charizard, we're going to have Fire Spin plus Overheat as the best moveset. You could also run Flamethrower as well, which is a little bit more spammy in terms of the moveset. Now for the secondary charge move unlock, it's going to cost the same as Venusaur, so 10,000 Stardust and 25 candy, and ideally you would want to have Dragon Claw. Combining Fire Spin plus Overheat and Dragon Claw is a pretty good combination in terms of a moveset. Now for the Community Day exclusive movesets, you'll have Dragon Breath as a fast move and Blast Burn as a charge move. So depending on how you want to run this, you could either go with Double Dragon or Double Fire. But again, for Dynamax Charizard, I wouldn't really recommend giving either of these movesets to it right now. Now for Blastoise, you want to have Water Gun plus Hydro Pump, and then for that secondary charge move unlock, it's going to cost the same as the other two, and you ideally want to have Ice Beam. The Calm Day exclusive moveset for Blastoise is going to be Hydro Cannon. Now finally, when we get the Psychic Spectacular event, you're going to have access to Metagross. So for this Pokemon, you could run this in one of two ways. The first moveset to have is going to be Bullet Punch plus Flash Cannon. This is going to be your Steel type moveset. And then Metagross is actually a dual Steel and Psychic type Pokemon, so for the other moveset, you could go with Zen Headbutt plus Psychic. Now when it comes down to the secondary charge move unlock, I wouldn't really recommend this, as this one is going to be 75,000 Stardust plus 75 Candy. Again, for the Dynamax Raids only, this doesn't really make that much sense to invest into it. And then for the Calm Day exclusive moveset, you want to have Meteor Mash on it. Now we did actually have a Beldum Calm Day Classic about a few weeks ago, which means during December Calm Day, you will have the ability to evolve your Beldum into Metagross to get it with the exclusive moveset Meteor Mash. I don't really see it making that much of a difference as of right now, but in the future, it definitely will. So again, I would not recommend evolving your Metagross, at least your good IV Metagross, all the way up until December Community Day. So when it comes down to it, if you are a more seasoned player who has a lot of elite TMs, you can elite some of these Pokemon if you end up getting like a really good IV spread. However, for most players, I would not recommend doing this, even if you end up getting the hundo. The main reason is because you want to wait until there's actually a good reason to power up these attackers, basically more difficult raid bosses, and as of right now, there isn't actually that incentive. Following that, let's talk about max moves. So max attack, max guard, and max spirit. So the level up requirements are going to be in this order. From a locked move to level 1, it's going to cost you 400 max particles plus 50 candy of that Pokemon. From level 1 to level 2, that's going to be 600 max particles plus 100 candy. And then from level 2 to level 3, it's going to cost you 800 max particles plus 40 extra large candy. During the second part of the max battle, you will need to Dynamax one of your Pokemon and defeat the raid boss in 3 turns or less. Having more powerful max moves will definitely help out with this, but for the level 1 raid bosses, you won't need to level up any of your max moves just yet. I would just focus on type advantage for more damage. For example, water beats fire, grass beats water, and fire beats grass. There's a whole bunch of other typings that are going to get incorporated, but as of right now, those are the most basic ones that we're going to need to know. Next up, let's go over the best IVs. So we're going to have quite a bit of time before some of the more difficult raid bosses are released into the game, which gives you plenty of time to hunt down good IVs on these Pokemon. Ideally, I would aim for Pokemon that are going to be 96% IV or higher. This is 2 IVs off from perfect IVs. When you appraise your Pokemon, you can actually see this by counting down the notches. Now you can also trade Dynamax Pokemon, which means you can potentially get lucky versions of these Pokemon. You can also do guaranteed lucky trades with your best friends to pretty much guarantee that lucky Dynamax Pokemon. For those of you unfamiliar how to actually get guaranteed lucky trades, you can get these from daily interactions with your best friends in-game. There's like a really small chance of actually getting lucky friends, and then your next trade is going to be guaranteed lucky. For those of you who don't know, by the way, lucky Pokemon require 50% less Stardust to power up, which is great for building budget attackers. You also have a 1 out of 64 chance of getting the hundo this way because the floor IVs are going to be 12, 12, 12. Now when it really comes down to it, IVs don't make a huge difference if I'm being honest, but it's still something to strive for when powering up Pokemon. The threshold that I just went over is the one that I like to aim for personally, but if you just want to lucky trade a Dynamax Pokemon, evolve it, and then power it up to like around level 30, that would be the most cost-effective approach. And again, even right now, we don't even have to power up our Dynamax Pokemon, so don't even waste the Stardust. So basically, in conclusion, I would just evolve 1 Venusaur, Charizard, Blastoise, and Metagross for now. Don't power them up, but make sure to TM them to the right movesets. Second charge moves are going to be optional, and for the Kanto starters, these are going to be cheap, but for Metagross, not so much. As we continue to dive deeper into Dynamax Pokemon, these types of videos will evolve with more depth, but for right now, it's pretty simple. Anyways, that's pretty much everything that I have for you guys in this video. If you do want to check out some more content, watch these 2 videos right here, but before you go, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you all real soon in the next one.